Braga International 2021 Rampa da Falperra Hill Climb is presented by Viper Gaming by Patriot, Elite Gaming, ESTB, and Motorvision.tv.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Hello everybody and welcome to the third round of the 2021 Hill Climb Championship here broadcasted by GTR 24H. We've already had a couple of rounds this season that have been very interesting so far. We're now at the Rampa Falperra in Portugal, just 35 kilometers outside of Braga, and we're on for a 5.2 kilometer hill climb course here today. Going to be very interesting once again, as all of these events have been so far. Been very enjoyable indeed. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one here. Again, we have 30 minutes left in qualifying right now, so a little bit longer than we otherwise might have, but it gives us a little bit more chance to have a look at these guys and look at who's here today competing. This is just qualifying, by the way, as well, so not too much to worry about for these guys at the moment. 23 people are connected, and that number may rise before we get into the first heat of the day. Yeah, my name's Ewan O'Leary. I'll be along with you for the day's action, and yeah, as I said, very much looking forward to it. here once again. As mentioned, we've had a couple of rounds so far this season, and going to run through a couple of the results from last time out, because we've had those confirmed since 3 weeks ago now, since we last spoke, and so we can report to you on what the gaps ended up being. Sebastian Ronat ended up winning the event in the Acela FA 30 ahead of Francois Corratti and Ludovic Farut, who was only third in the end, I'm afraid. Some issues for him along the way. In the second heat, most notably, meant that he lost a good 45 seconds on his main rivals, and so he was out of the running basically at that point, and really had trouble continuing on with any kind of motivation, because he was really struggling to get up any position. So that was 1, 2, 3 in both the overall and the E2 category as well. In E1 plus 2000, it was very, very close indeed between Agius Andre and Tobias Bashadorf. In the end, it was Andre by 1.3 seconds who ended up taking the victory in front of Bashadorf. Pascalis Angelopoulos was in third place, also in a Lanzo Evo 4, and then the man you're seeing on your screens right now, Philotheos Argyru, was in third position in the Audi S1, in easily my favourite car of the entire event, and he was getting up there. 4th place for him in the last race, which was a good performance from him. In E2 SS2000, so not the one with the crazy prototype looking cars that you can see in the middle of your screen right now, the other category, it was Chris Bennett is the only driver in that category, and so he took the victory. In Group H Special, it was Vincent Toucoula, from France, who took the victory in the Opel GTE Psycho ahead of an Opel Kadett GTE. Philip Raab was driving that one. The gap between them was very, very close indeed. 1.8 seconds in the end. Toucoula was fastest in all 3 of the heats, though. I wouldn't say dominated, but he did take a fairly convincing victory. And finally, in the E1 2000 category, without the plus, it was Javi Rodriguez in front of David Tashev to take the victory. 2 seconds separating those guys by the very end. Let's take a quick look at the course here today then. It's the Rampa Falperra, 5.2 kilometres, 272 metres gained throughout those kilometres, a 5% average gradient up the hill, a finish at about 535 metres. And it's been on the European Hill Climb Championship calendar every single year since 2010. We've had 3 years for the Acela FA 30, which the car that has taken 2 victories out of 2 so far, and the Norma M20 has taken 6 victories in the recent years as well. Let's take a look on board at the course. On board with Sebastian Ronat, I think it's going to be, although I'm not entirely sure who it's going to be. Still waiting at the start house at the moment, and finally gets underway. It is indeed Sebastian Ronat we are on board with, and what you will immediately notice about the Rampa Falperra is that it is exceptionally fast. Flowing corners, bumpy road surface, but a lot of straight line speed needed for this one. A lot of downforce will be taken off for this one, so that these guys don't take off, and let's hope that they don't. It's a very, very quick course indeed. Very, very few sharp hairpins we've seen in the past, especially at the Col Saint-Pierre, which was a very, very twisty course indeed. Lots of hairpins along the way up. I can spot 2, 3, maybe 4 major hairpins. Even then, half of those are fairly flowing, as opposed to the Col Saint-Pierre, which probably had at least double that, and it was a much slower course. So was the Rechberg last time out, which came out at just under 1,000 metres in altitude by the very end. This one is a lot different to the Rechberg, which we had last time out. Up the hill, we go with Sebastian Ronat. You can just see small kinks from time to time, and they've even had to add in almost not quite an artificial chicane, but there's a little lay-by to the left-hand side of one of these straight line sections, and they've even had to use that just to slow these cars down a little bit and add a little bit of challenge for these guys to make this just a little bit more difficult for them. But as you can see, it is so quick up here. And if you looked at a map, it wouldn't look very difficult at all, but watching these guys right now, you would realise that it really isn't. There's the final hairpin, and over the line. That's how quickly it is over here on the Rampa Falperra. As I mentioned, we're only 35 kilometres outside of Braga at the moment, right in rallying country, very near to where the Rally Portugal stages are in the World Rally Championship. Not particularly for the first part of that rally, but the second and third days are often run right up at this kind of area of Portugal. So if you're into your rallying, then this is going to be familiar territory to you. Even though not the same roads, of course, because that's not on tarmac, but we are here today, and you can imagine it's going to be a difficult day for our man in the Audi. Philotheos Argyru sliding his way through these corners, and I can imagine that car is going to be very difficult to contend with at high speed. There's that chicane I was just mentioning. It's very twisty course, sliding through that corner, just using the ditch to get turned ever so slightly there in that Audi. Let's take a look at the E1 Plus 2000 Championship then, because we've got one of those cars out on the screen right now. Tobias Bashadov and Agias Andre are currently tied in the lead with 43 points. They've both got a first and a second from the racing so far, which has put them tied on points. George Malice is on 25, just in behind that. And then we've got Philotheo Argyru just 1 point further back, 19 points adrift from the championship lead. He's on your screen right now. Then finally, in fifth place, Pascalis Angelopoulos is in fifth place in that championship. And on 19 points, just a little bit adrift of some of these guys who are a little bit further up in the championship. Taking also a look at the 151 at the moment. I believe this is one of the E1 2000 cars. Might be David Tachev, that one. Although I'm trying to look for him at the moment, and I can't see. There's a lot of cars on my entry list here, and it's difficult to go through them all. No, sorry, that's a Mitsubishi I'm looking at in the 151. Frederic Tessier, that one is. Also of the E1 2000 category, plus 2000, excuse me. Let's have a look at Group H Special here next. The number 65 car is on your screen right now. Trying to look for who that might be. Marcus Blassel is currently in that car. One of the Group H Special cars. While he's waiting in line, I'll just update you on the championship. Philip Raab is now leading it by 36 points. Sorry, not by 36 points. He's got 36 points, and he's got 1 point over Julian Delage, who's in second place in the number 100 Opel. In the Renault 8 Gordini, excuse me, with just under 300 horsepower, but looks like a lot of fun to drive. You can just see him in the background of your shot there on the right-hand side. We're in qualifying right now, by the way. It's a bit of a rush, this one. It's normally 2 hours long, this session, but at the moment we're not quite getting that much time on the boards or that much time to do qualifying because of some server issues. They're a little bit pushed for time, these guys, and that's why there's such a big queue. John Spider is in third position, 6 points adrift of Raab, and Vincent Tukula, who came in last time on the Rashberg for his first kind of run of the day, and he absolutely bossed it, managing to take the full 25 points and vaulting himself straight into fourth place in our championship straight away. Very impressive from him indeed. Trying to find Frederic Tessier and which car he's driving at the moment, because he's still on our screens right now. Thought he would have been in. Sorry, it's Marcus Blassel, isn't it? Not Frederic Tessier, because that's the one we were looking at a little bit earlier on. Marcus Blassel is an Opel Cadet D, excuse me, 2.5 litre small engine, only a V4 engine, but still has 370 horsepower, just over 300 Newton meters of torque, just over 1,000 kilograms as well. He's going to be setting off not far after another one of the Group C cars. Let's take a look and a ride through the Rampa Falperra with Marcus Plassel. Into the wall and off the road, I'm afraid, on our onboard lap. We've cursed another driver. Very sorry about that to Marcus Plassel, but he's off the road, I'm afraid, in qualifying. Yeah, unfortunate to see, but he's back in the garage now and might be going out for another run a little bit later on, but just not for the moment. They're going to have a couple more runs out as well here at the moment. Well, I'm trying to spot the number 120 right now. The Fiat X19 Alfa Romeo 2-litre D2 engine, by the way, which is a very small engine, and it might break if it's Alfa Romeo, but looks okay. Looks like a pretty nice car as well. These Group H cars look like a lot of fun to drive at the moment. We're getting down towards those a little bit further towards the bottom. This is John Spider, by the way, driving. He's just been pushed down to 11th by Julien Delarge, who's just got up in front of him by 7/10 of a second. We have got 18 drivers with a time on the board and 25 connected to the server right now. Of those, only one is an E2 car, I'm afraid to say. We didn't actually mention that championship, but Sebastian Renat is leading it by 3 points ahead of Ludovic Ferry, who's in second. Francois Carratti in third, ahead of Mark Best in fourth, but looks like Sebastian Renat's going to take a big step forward in that championship today, because he's got no competitors at all. 2 wheels for John Spider and into the wall, into the arm car, I'm afraid. But that's going to be the end of his run. Dear, oh dear, and another clip onto, and a big accident there for the 43. That's Leo Huart, who's been driving well so far this season, actually. He's been up there in the championship, up there on a couple of occasions, but only really had one good run out of 2 rounds so far this season. Still got a little while to go in qualifying. Just a note as well that 2 of these heats are going to count instead of 3, which is what we had last time around. Though it's not all of them count. You can have a bad run in this one, although you'd rather not. But if you get your first 2 in nicely, then you can pretty much go for it in the last. 35 car, we're about to watch go up the hill right now. Pulling up to the start, and the 130 behind, very, very eager to get going. Can't actually work out what car that is at the moment. I've never seen that before, I don't think. 35, there isn't a 35 even on my timing at the moment, for whatever reason. Well, there might be, and I'm just not looking at it, but anyway. Another car I've seen so far this season making its way up the mountain now. Oh, and into the wall, I'm afraid. It's a very, very tricky hill climb. One of the faster ones, and especially in the faster categories, like the E2 category with Sebastian Ronald at the moment. Let's hope he gets a couple of competitors in this one, but as I feel like that class might be very, very close indeed with the amount of high speed, the high speed nature of it all. I reckon it could be very high speed indeed. So yeah, we'll be looking forward to that. In the slower cars with a little bit less downforce as well, things are a little bit trickier. Looks like an above, maybe feel. Be at 131 maybe, but I haven't got a 35 car entered at all on my entry list at the moment, but there's Nick Sekidis that is at the moment, and he is there, but I wasn't quite looking in the right place. I've been paying more attention, but oh, that's a big slide, and that's into the wall a little bit. There's a ditch on the left-hand side there as well, which is making things tricky. Making it easier to get into the wall as well. He's into the wall again, I'm afraid. You know what I mean, though? There's some very gentle corners. There's a lot of kinks on this course, but not too many major focused hairpins. There's one right at the very end, and here it is. The final hairpin, and over the line he's going to go. Is Sekidis. As waiting in line behind, Alex Schubert in the 32. The Ford Escort Cosworth, 2.2 Cosworth engine, 2.2 litre, excuse me, Cosworth engine. Nearly 600 horsepower, but tied with the heaviest car on this course here today. About to make his way out of the start and onto the course. Here in qualifying, still being led by Sebastian Ronat. Not seeing any other E2 SC SS3000 cars out there anymore. Or at the moment, should I say. The most we've had at anyway so far has been 3. We've had 3 cars at both races so far. Karate and Mark Best, Francois Karate and Mark Best appearing for 1 each, and Ronald Farouk, excuse me, not appearing, appearing in both of them, should I say. There's the first of the 2 really focused hairpins on this course. Alex Schubert is going to be making his way up the hill now. He's going to be making his way up the standings as well, I'd imagine. He's a little bit out of position. It's an E1 plus 2000 car, and the best placed of those at the moment is Tobias Bashadorf in first. 1 minute 55.9, a good 5 seconds in front of Frederic Tacher in the 111. And also Agias Andre. Who he's currently tied at the top of the championship with. 10 minutes to go in qualifying right now, by the way. And then we'll be into the first heat of the day. One of those more gentle hairpins I was talking about. The right first of all, and then there's going to be a gentle one to the left as well. Here it is. Not quite as sharp as the others, especially some of the others we've seen so far this season. Oh, bit of a lock-up into the final corner. Where's Alex Schubert going to get up to, though? Because I've got a feeling this is going to be a bit of a better time from him. Oh, not too much of an improvement from him. Not too much at all. Frank Dupart is in 19th position at the moment in the 277, not too far behind. He's in one of those Mitsubishi Evo 4s. These guys are good 15 seconds off of Bashadorf, who's the fastest man out there right now. Bashadorf was in that great fight with Agius Andre last time out, but ended up being Andre who was victorious. Oh, into the wall for Dupré, and he's going to be back into the pit lane before you know it. Let's take one more on board then before we go to adverts, before we get into qualifying. He's just pulling up to the house right now, and then we'll be getting ready. Off we go. On board is Olive Tan. We're on board with right now in the Group H Special Opel Kadett. As you can see on the right hand side, it's helpfully written on the dashboard just in case you forget which car you're actually driving. Up the gears, reaching some of the highest speeds we have so far this season. I know the first part of the Rechberg was very quick indeed, but the second half was a lot more technical. It did allow for lap times or times, excuse me, of just under 2 minutes, but this one well under 2 minutes for the fastest guy. Sebastian run out at the moment 1 minute 40.6. Making sure he's qualified right up front. Get first on the road in this event. Gliding his and Tan into the wall, sliding his way through these corners. Not too much grip in this car, and here's the little lay-by that they have to go through. Oh, it's narrow, and it's well held together from Olive Tan. Out of it he goes, and into the first of two gentle hairpins soon. Little chicane and a shimmy first. A little bit longer to it than I expected, but it's just up the road here in a moment. You know what I mean about the high-speed nature of this course. Over 200 kilometres an hour through those left and right kinks. There was the first hairpin. That's still third gear though, by no means a real switchback. And here's the second of them, this time to the left. Fourth gear this time for Olive Tan in the second of the two hairpins. Then we'll be getting back up to nearly 200 kilometres an hour before we can get into this very final hairpin, which is just up here. We're not quite reaching that kind of speed, 160 kilometres maybe. But there's the line for Olive Tan, and he goes over it. So then, let's take a quick commercial break here. We're just coming towards the end of qualifying right now, so we'll be back in a few moments' time with the first heat of round 3 of the European Hill Climb Championship for 2021. Back in a moment.
The Braga International 2021 Rampa da Falperra Hill Climb is presented by Viper Gaming by Patriot, Elite Gaming, ESTV, and Motorvision.tv.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Welcome back to the third round of the European Hill Climb Championship for 2021 here on R Factor 2. We are on the Rampa Falperra in Portugal here today, 35 kilometres outside of Braga for a 5.2 kilometre hill climb, finishing at 535 metres for the third round of our championship. We're just coming towards the end of qualifying right now. It's going to end in literally seconds. The final runs are going to be made right now, and Sebastian Monach should be going out first in the first actual heat, which will be coming up very shortly. So Sebastian will be after that. Agius Andre in third, but unfortunately, we only have one E2 car here on the grid here today, so that's not a good moment for the 137 at all. That is Agius Andre, actually. I was just talking about him, but he's off the road just a little bit, I'm afraid. We go back to John Spider, Julien Delage now as well, who's in the Renault 8's Gordini, going fairly well at the moment. If you remember winning, I think it was winning the first round of the season, or he definitely went very well anyway, if not winning. Vincent Tukula is going to be going off first of those in the Group H Special category. However, the top four are separated by only 7/10 of a second, with Philip Raab not too far behind that. Nick Koksidis in the 35 is also close by. So it's going to be a good fight in Group H. In Group H. It's a very big slide for Delage, but he's got things going in the right direction. Those guys will be going off around about 9th on back. Javi Rodriguez has managed to get himself into 8th place here in qualifying. He's left behind David Tachev by a mile in that Volkswagen Corrado. He's done a 2-minute 12 as Tachev, but Rodriguez in the 2-minute 5s at the moment. Can't see Leonardo Bartolini at the moment. He managed to win the first round and been pretty good so far this season. Just pulling off to the side there, and qualifying really must be nearly over, although there are still a couple of cars looking to head their way out there. Yeah, it's going to be Runner first ahead of Bashadorf and then Andre. Frederic Tacher and then Philotheos Argyro. Oh, actually, two Frederic Tachers on this time screen at the moment. Oh, I'm going to try and work out which one it is. Who is who in this one? Antonis Paparinopoulos is in the 111 car now. I can't see a 111 out there on the entry list at the moment, but yeah, Tacher is in the 151, so that's definitely him, and Paparinopoulos is in the 151 in this one. Nearly everybody is stationary right now, apart from Olive Tan. He's still out there. We're to halfway in his hill climb. That's Rodriguez making his way out again, yeah. He is, so qualifying clearly isn't over yet. I can't see these guys changing the order too much. Olive Tan didn't actually get to complete his run. Here we go. Session has indeed now been changed, and the order is now going to be set with Sebastian Runner going out there first. He comes in with a lead in this championship, let's not forget. 43 points ahead of Ludovic Ferruz. 40 points, 3 points adrift. Francois Karati is in third ahead of Mark Best in fourth in that championship. There is also a teams championship in the European Hill Climb Championship. And if I go to look at that, then we'll see that it's very, very close indeed in that one. Equipe Regal currently leading with Sebastian Runner and Eric Tatol getting the points. 55 points to their name ahead of Thunder Team, that's Argura and John Spider. 1 point separate those two. Junior Racing Team in third ahead of I can't really pronounce because I'm not entirely sure how to, but they're 12 points adrift, and further 4 points back to the next team, then another 4 points, another 6 points. Top 7 separated by 26 points in the team's championship after only 2 rounds, so very close indeed. Chris Bennett is out there again right now for whatever reason. Or he was, maybe I'm saying things, but looked like he was out there to me. Maybe where he's not supposed to be. Trying to get my my stuff in order right now. John Pappas in the safety car making his way out to his position that he needs to be in. And there is Sebastian Runner. That waiting, ready and waiting for the first of the action for him today to commence. Couple of late entries, most notably, the latest of them, Isio Lagamenta was there, and Marmelo Stagno driving the same car as Julien Delage, the Renault 8 Gordini, both part of the same team as well, I believe, with Paris Gavalas going to be running last. He put in a pretty decent performance on the Rechberg actually, so look out for him a little bit later on. He could spring a surprise. John Pappas is now in position, by the way. We'll be ready to go soon, but I wasn't seeing things. Chris Bennett was out there a little bit earlier on, and he is still. I'm not entirely sure why, or if he's supposed to be. Oh, and that's an accident. I don't think that was supposed to happen. But John Pappas is still making his way out there. Dear oh dear. I get the slight feeling that maybe Chris Bennett wasn't meant to be there, but anyway, he'll be going 14th in the order. Here a little bit later on. Apologies for the delay, by the way. Qualifying was a little bit late and a little bit shortened because of some issues along the way, but that's why we're just a little bit late at the moment, getting underway. For this event, here's the final hairpin for John Pappas, and then we will be able to commence. Hopefully. Nearly 4 minutes of a time that was from Pappas, but that's not going to be troubling anybody in this one. So then, who's going to be contending for this one in E1 plus 2000? Well, Tobias Bashadorf and Agius Andre have got to be up there. Maybe we'll see something from Antonis Paparinopoulos as well. Philotheos Argyro maybe as well in the Audi. All going to be up there. Looking at Group H, ones to look out for. Julien Delard is definitely going to be there. He'll be rolling off first of those who's in the Group H category. John Spider second. Vincent Tukula after that. Marcus Blassel fourth. Maybe Philip Raab as well, although he was a little bit adrift in qualifying. Finally, it's going to be Rodriguez and Tachev in E1 2000, unless anybody else can bring a surprise. A great drive from Rodriguez so far in the qualifying to be able to put in such a performance. Waiting for Ron out at the moment to get himself out there and to the start, and then things will be coming pretty thick and fast from there on in, but now the order just has to be set. And then we'll be ready to go. A little bit later than planned, but a fairly short course, and there are 26 odd, 27 drivers out there. 28 who are going to be out there today. Ronaldo isn't going to have any competitors on this occasion. Doesn't look like it's going to be a bit of an exhibition for him, a bit of a formality. And as long as he completes 2 out of the 3 runs, then he'll be fine to make it. I'm not sure what would happen if you didn't have 2 of them. I presume you're out of the event. But I don't believe that happened to anybody in round 1. I know that a couple of those who actually won, so Julien Delage and Leonardo Bartolini both crashed on at least one of them. And they managed to actually win the event at the Col Saint-Pierre, so just waiting for the results from qualifying to come in at the moment before we get underway. Chris Bennett set a time for whatever reason. sure if that's allowed or not. But it's happened. So I guess that nobody can really do anything about that now. It's just kind of there. Bit of a discussion going on at the moment as to what's going to happen here. That we can finally get underway, but clearly something not quite right. Everybody sat waiting in the lane for now. So then, Sebastian Ronat has been given permission to begin the event. And when he's ready, he'll kick us off for the third round of the European Hill Climb Championship on R Factor 2. Rampa Falperra in Portugal here today. 5.2 kilometres, a 5% average gradient for that amount of time. And here he is, Sebastian Ronat. And out there he goes. Pulls up to the starting line. And we begin. The hill climb is underway. Ronat is going to be setting the pace. He's the only E2 SCSS 3000 category car here on the grid. A little bit unfortunate to see that, but we can't have it all, I suppose. He should be taking the 25 points as long as he gets to the end of 2 of these. And he should be taking his second overall victory in 2021 as well. It was an overall victory for him on the Rashberg 3 weeks ago, beating out Francois Karate and Ludwig Faru as well. After Faru being the favourite and unfortunately coming up unstuck on one of the hairpins. Going for a spin. Handing Ronat the victory. He's going to be handed this one as well by the looks of things as long as he gets to the end. Not taking anything away from him. Very skillful driving going on. Be sure of that. Spashadorf is also onto the road right now as well. And we'll take a look at him because that's where the battle is in the Mitsubishi. Here we are, sliding his way through here at the moment, going from side to side on the road. The barrier's exceptionally close. Over the crest they go there, and the wall comes to meet you on the outside. Through the kinks and into that first gentle right-hander. The Agios Andre out there at the moment, as well as Paparino Poulos as well. Same time. Out of the gentle left-hand hairpin, and they're going to be getting up to about 160, 170 kilometres an hour just towards the final hairpin. A bit of a slide from the German, wide at the final hairpin as well. Not the greatest line through there. Where's that going to be in relation to everybody else? So 57.4 from him so far. Agios Andre 2 in behind. I reckon that's a couple of seconds slower than what is possible for that Mitsubishi. All a bit wide from, very wide actually. The mark being left on the road there by Andre. Final corner for him now in the 137 Mitsubishi. Using all 625 horsepower to get to the line and goes over it with a time that is 2 seconds slower. 49.4 for him as Paparino Poulos in the tied heaviest car in the event here today. Out there right now. He's in the 111 Ford Escort Cosworth. Nearly 600 horsepower, and you need all of them to power this heavy car up the climb. He goes up to 4th, where he's expected to be, really, with a 2-minute 0.1. Already 2.7 seconds down on Bashadorf. This is going to be a big ask for anybody to hold themselves in front of him from this point on. Oh, Angela Poulos back into the garage. I think he's had an early off here. The number 123, I think, has had an early off. Pascalis Angelopoulos. George Malice is also out there, as was Frederic Techier. And I believe we're watching right now in the 151, are we? Yes, we are indeed. What's Argyro doing, though? Going up towards the final line right now, and he goes into 5th place, 2.8, a 2-minute 2.8, where he's expected to be as well. I'm afraid it's between Bashadorf and Agius Andre almost immediately, but the gap between those guys is 2 seconds as well. George Malice is out there right now as well, as Javi Rodriguez, who has just begun. However, I'm going to try and grab Julien Delage here in a few moments' time when he goes to the start house, and we're going to have an onboard lap or an onboard climb with that Renault 8 Gordini. He's coming up towards the start line right now. I believe he is, anyway. The 120's out there. John Spider. Why is Delage not out there, I wonder? That is bizarre. Goulart has also begun now. But Julien Delage, for whatever reason, has just not gone out there at the moment. And that's a strange one to me. Don't know why he's done that, but we'll try and get on with Marcus Blassel then. That is possible. Wanting to get an onboard lap and a view as to what this climb is like from the onboard shot. This is Vincent Tukulat. Sorry, John Spider making his way through the lay-by there. Like Blassel's taking a while as well to get up towards the start. John Spider about halfway through now, and Tukulat wasn't far behind him. I expect Blassel out by now, but at least up towards the start, and he's going now. So, there's Chris Bennett just in front, but here's Marcus Blassel. We're going to ride on board with him up the Rampa Falperra and see what his time is like compared to the likes of John Spider and Vincent Tukulat, who are going to be going in front of him. Chris Bennett is just in front. One of the Formula cars. It's very spectacular to watch him go up here as well. Taking a little while to actually begin. Here is Bennett, for whatever reason that is. John Spider's come over the line. It's a 22.6 from him. Now that's a little bit slower than what I was expecting, a lot slower than what I was expecting from him. Is now pulling up to the start line is Marcus Blassel. So let's take a ride on board up the Rampa Falperra with this Opel machine. Marcus Blassel up the Rampa Falperra. Final corner and over the line for Marcus Blassel, who's come up the hill with less body parts, I'm afraid, than he started with. Over the line he goes now, and he is into first in Group H, purely because nobody else has really set a representative time here, although Tukula has actually. He's up the front of the mountain, but Blassel 11.4, John Spider 22.6. That's not really where we expect them to be. Is now out there on the climb, and here, oh, there's the 35 car in the barriers. That's Nick Coxidis in the Fiat Punto, and he is going to be getting his way back to the pit lane, but White is out there now, and I thought the large was, sorry, that was Philip Morar. The large has already come over the line, and he has gone into second with an 8.4. A little bit later than what I was expecting from him, but at least he has managed to do the time. Blip Rab is across the line and does a 6.0, so he's only 5 tenths away from Tukula. Not sure. Angela Pilos, excuse me, was one of those who retired earlier. I'll cycle down to somebody who's actually on there at the moment, but when you see someone cross the line who goes up the order quite a lot, you have to work your way down a little bit. Leo White, this is, I think, in the 43. And we'll just watch him go across the line here before we go to a commercial break, before we get Heat 2 in. But Leo White has a chance to do something today, especially given the demise of, well, not the demise of the likes of Blassel and Spider, but they've just got to nail these final 2 runs now. Whereas White's going to have a bit more leeway a little bit later on if things carry on as they are right now. in the Opel GTE Psycho, which is one of the best names for a car, and it looks pretty good as well. It's mad body work on that car. Over 400 horsepower, gliding his way through that corner. The gentle right-hander I was talking about a little bit earlier. And the gentle, even more open left-hander coming up right now. Looks slightly cambered the right way going in as well. That does go away from you as you try and exit the corner, but keeps your speed around nevertheless. Now into the final corner, there it is. A real ramp to the line. Very steep right at the very top here. Whoa, sliding his way across the line. Leo Watt. Where's he going to get himself into? 13th position, just behind Julien Delage and just in front of Marcus Blasso there for that time. So then, with most of the first runs out of the way, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, the end of Heat 1 and, more importantly, the start of
The Braga International 2021 Rampa da Falperra Hill Climb is presented by Viper Gaming by Patriot, Elite Gaming, ESTV, and MotorVision.tv.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Welcome back to the third round of the European Hill Climb Championship for 2021. Got a bit of a split screen at the moment. Olive Tan on your right and David Tachev on your left, who's just made a bit of a mistake, incidentally. Tachev's third in the championship, but only two attending in E1 2000 at the moment, or at least of those who were up there at the start of the season. And a touring car looking cars in E1 2000. Got a Honda Civic TCR leading it with Javi Rodriguez in the 17 car. Overall, he's all the way up in 10th at the moment, top 10 him right now. 42 free from Sebastian Renat, by the way, currently leading. That's easily better than what he's done in any of the qualifying session earlier. Got a couple more to go in Heat 1 here. Pashev just came over the line with a 14.8. 8.4 seconds down on Javi Rodriguez. I'm going to note all these down and keep abreast on who is where and who's going to finish where by the end of the day. Try and see who's the winner by the very end. Carmelo Stagno is driving the very same car that Julien Delage is at the moment, as that's how Angela Poulos' first run ended. Didn't see that initially, but we picked up a replay. That's a huge accident for the Mitsubishi Evo 4, I'm afraid. One of 7 drivers using that car, 6 drivers using that car. Very, very popular. So doesn't even finish his first run. Gonna need a perfect second and third. Final drivers coming through right now. Daniel and Gavalas are both going to be coming through. Daniel from Italy in the Renault 8 Gordini, as I mentioned, same one being driven by Julien Delage, just under 300 horsepower from the 2-litre engine. Doesn't need a big engine though, that car. It's quite small and fairly nimble. Stagno goes into 18th overall though, 15.0 from him, 9.5 seconds off of Tugula, who is leading for the second round in a row. He went out in Austria. I'll cycle down a lot of cars here to try and find Armand Gavalas. Oh, and I've cycled down a little bit too far. There we go. Gavalas in the Subaru. Driver from Greece, driving 2-litre turbocharged Subaru Impreza. Oh, sliding his way into the ditch, I'm afraid, and it's around for Gavalas. Hopefully he gets pointing back the right way again. Can at least finish this one. Let's have a look at that replay. Just see how he did it. You have to drive this car quite on edge anyway. Quite rearward to base. It ends up with a lot of understeer, otherwise you just see the slide went a little bit too far. Grabbed him to the right hand side. Into a ditch. And up the bank, I'm afraid. He won't be going to the bank, I'm afraid, at the end of this one with a victory. It will be straps for him, I'm afraid. Over the line he goes, 24th overall. And last of those who were able to set a time in that first heat of running. So then, that's heat 1. Heat 2 is going to get underway shortly. Sebastian Renat is going to be first out again. Of course, trying to build off of the time that he managed earlier. Getting everything into position ready for the second runs. Then we'll be underway. Got a few drivers who are under a bit of pressure here. Do well. Pascalis Angelopoulos and Nick Coxekidis in the Mitsubishi Evo 4 and the Fiat Punto HC respectively have both got a DNF next to their name for Heat 1. And the pressure on for Heat 2 and 3, because they've got to get them both right without any mistakes. The pressure isn't on quite as much as it was on the Rechberg, which allowed for no times to be taken away. To count them all. We're just trying to look at some highlights through the wallpaper we got going on at the moment. This is our onboard lap we had with Marcus Blasel, let's not forget. And I think this time we'll have one with Sebastian Ronat, because these prototype looking E2 cars are very impressive. We'll go from the cockpit view this time. Watching him soar at the wheel. Well, hopefully not soaring at the wheel, because that's not really how you drive these cars, but nice and smooth. As smooth as you can be on the bumpy roads of Portugal. Just towards the north, near Braga, which is not far from Porto. We really aren't very far from the Atlantic coast here. Probably about half an hour's drive, maybe less, and you can be on the beach. Sebastian Ronat might be dreaming of celebrating on the beach a little bit later. Looks like he'll be taking an overall victory. As long as he keeps it on the road, he'll be very, very hard pushed to be beaten. Highlights of Heat 1. We're about to get underway with Heat 2, and here's Sebastian Ronat making his way out of his garage pen and onto the starting line, ready to begin. Sebastian Ronat on the Rampa Falperra. Let's listen to it. Final corner for Sebastian Ronat, and over the line he goes. So 1 minute 41.2, he goes even faster than he has managed before. Let's go back to E1 plus 2000. This is where the real battle is between this man Tobias Bashadorf and Nagy Sandre, who's just behind him in third position overall and second in the category. He's got a good 7 tenths over Paparinopoulos as well, has Andre, but it's not very much time considering how easy it is to make a mistake on one of these runs. On a couple of corners coming up for Bashudov now. They've found a couple of corners, still got probably a kilometre to go. One of the simpler hill climbs on paper, but very, very high commitment, as we just saw from Sebastian Renard. 270 kilometres an hour, getting light over crests and through kinks all at the same time. Very, very exciting to watch. It's a 56.2 from Bashadov. It was 1.2 seconds quicker than he did before. Now Andre really does need to pull out quite the time here to even stand a chance of winning this hill climb. And instead of being tied for a championship lead like he is today, taking one doesn't look like he's going to be. Up the final hill, up the final hairpin, it's over the line for Agios Andre. It's a 2-minute 2.4. Oh dear, oh dear. Not what the doctor ordered whatsoever, that one. Two seconds slower on the first one and 6.2 on the last one. 8.2 seconds he needs to make up. Needs to go 8.2 seconds quicker than a 57.4. Needs to... Oh, what's that? 48.8 maybe? Oh, it's all going wrong for Argyru. For Lathias Argyru getting into the ditch ever so slightly there, and things not going well. By the way, Paparinopoulos has just entered second place in the E1 plus 2000 category, and I'm afraid Argyru's into the pit lane. The Audi driver into the pit lane. Must have had some problems along his run. Can't see. Oh, Vincent Toucoulaz just connected and reconnected, so we might not see very much of him in this run, but we'll try and grab a picture. See what his run is, but I want to see what guys like Frederic Techer and Galis Angelopoulos are going to do here. A share over the line now. And back into the pits. A 4.6 from him. He's a fair way adrift, I'm afraid. Javi Rodriguez in the E1 2000 category going well now. John Spider makes his way out in Group H. He's going to need a big performance here, just John Spider. He did a 22.6 last time out, which was 17.1 seconds slower than the best time in Group H last time around. Rodriguez comes into this run as well with an 8.2 second lead, so he's in the green right now, you might say. And it's a 9/10 improvement for the Spaniard on that run. Chris Bennett makes his way out there as well at the moment, and I'm going to take a quick look at him, or I am anyway, because I want to see how this Formula car makes its way up this hill with great difficulty, I can imagine. A couple of drivers from Group H out there at the moment. John Spider, Vincent Toucoulaz, both out there. But let's take a look at Chris Bennett. A bug's eye view, I guess you could call it, on the nose. A long wait here, but let's not forget, car in front of him, I think might be Tukula himself here. And that car is a little bit slower than this one. We've just got to make sure they don't fall over each other at any point throughout this run. Taking a long time for Chris Bennett to get going here though. It's finally going now, just as I say that. He's onto the hill climb for the second time today. A lot of downforce on this car, of course, which is going to be helpful. But of course, where we're generating so much top speed, the downforce is going to be very helpful because the mechanical grip of this car won't be great. Now, on places like Col Saint-Pierre and the second half of the Rechberg, they're not very strong. But these high-speed corners a little bit later going to be very good indeed for him. Now, where is John Spry though? Where has he got up to? 7.4 for him. Still 1.9 slower than what Tukula could do last time. And Tukula goes over the line himself with another 5. It's a 5.6 this time. So Raab is going to need to improve, Delage as well. Going to need to improve. Delage going up towards the start now himself. Oh my word, that was a little bit risky over the top there. We're going to stay with Chris Bennett at the top right hand side of your screen as we go to Julien Delage on the main part. Yes, he just touched the wall there very early on, and Chris Bennett also touching the wall on the top right. A very, very difficult course, as you can see. Also have Blassel, Watts, Raab all over the line soon as well. Raab is out there now as well, as we speak. And then Delage going to need a few seconds of an improvement here if he wants to take a victory and prevent Tukula from making a real statement. I don't think Tukula will be leading the championship at the end of today. I think that's going to be a little bit difficult for him, but he is going to be getting closer and closer. It's only 11 points adrift as things stand. He's in the lead of the third round as things stand right now. It's at 5.2, a 2 minute 5.2 from Chris Bennett there, just to get himself in front of Vincent Tukula. A little bit less scary in this Renault 8 Gordini, but still maximum commitment from Delage. Here's the left-hander coming up. Oh, a little bit of late braking and into the wall. That's another wall that can grab you into on occasion because there is a small gap in the arm car on the right-hand side there, and we've seen so many drivers doing that so far today because it just tips down ever so slightly into the left-hander. Very easy to lock a wheel. Oh, and he's done it again into the very steep uphill. You really don't want to kill your momentum around there because it hurts you run up the hill, but it's a 2 minute 6.9 from Julien Delage. He loses another 1.3 seconds. Vincent Tukula. Here's Leo Huart, I believe. No, sorry, this is Philippe Raab with Leo Huart not too far behind. What can Raab do here? He lost half a second on his first run. What's this time going to be? Philippe Raab does almost identical time again. But I'm afraid it's another 4 attempts lost to Vincent Tukula, and he's going to be 9 attempts down by the end of that second run. It's the 43 of Leo Huart. Alex Schubert just making his way out of the start. He'll be making his way into the final corner soon. Going to get a time for Marcus Blassel as well. Well, we already have, 7.8 on that occasion. Leo Huart, though, into the final corner right now. He's going to go over the line. It's a 10.6. And he loses a bit of time. In Group 8, then, it's Tukula leading from Rob. Then we've got Delage. He's going to be, I'm afraid, sixth in that one, but purely because he's got that poor run early on. But once that is negated, he might be up there. That 7.4. Don't think he's going to be winning it, but will be up there. Marcus Blassel should be in fourth. In front of Leo Huart, who may well be fifth. Alright, we've got a couple more guys to come here in Heat 2, but we're coming up to the end here. We're going to just wait and hold off a few more moments before we go to break, because David Tashev is coming up towards the line right now, and this is important for E1 2000. Tashev has managed third and second so far. The standings, and it's put him 10 points behind championship leader Javi Rodriguez. Using a Volkswagen Corrado as opposed to the Honda Civic TCR that his rivals Rodriguez and Bartolini are using. Nearly to inline 4 engine, over 300 horsepower, 880 kilograms. Oh, bit of a wiggly moment, but he keeps it nicely within the barriers. And Frank Dupar, I'm afraid, on the right hand side of your screen, has just gone for a spin in the Mitsubishi Evo. Trying to get going again. He's had an Austin Powers moment, I'm afraid. Olive Tan just touching the wall. Lay-by chicane, which I'll call it. Very unofficially. You can see David Tashev on the split screen right now. Into the lay-by himself, not too far behind. Oh, it's into the wall, and he's scraping his right the way around. He's got damage as well. He's got suspension damage, we can see. Oh dear, oh dear. This is not looking good for the Bulgarian. 8.2 seconds down in the first heat, and he's going to be even more down by the end of this one. He's going to need to go sub 2 minutes and more to win this one. He goes for a bigger accident now, and he's on his roof. The wrong way up for David Tashev, I'm afraid, and he's going to be a DNF. Let's take another look. Already severely damaged, loses it on the crest. Difficult to control your car there anyway, never mind with damage. And he has gone for a very big accident. Well, with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. The end of Heat 2 is about to happen, and when we return, the very final heat of the day will be coming right up. Don't go anywhere.
The Braga International 2021 Rampa da Falperra Hill Climb is presented by Viper Gaming by Patriot, Elite Gaming, ESTV, and Motorvision.tv.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Welcome back to the third round of the European Hill Climb Championship for 2021 here on R Factor 2, broadcasted by GTR24H. The literal final competitor is coming over the line right now. It is Harris Gavalas, and he has gone into 18th place overall with a 2 minutes 14.0. That is the end of the second heat. And things are going to start to heat up because we've got the final one coming up, and it's going to be very, very interesting indeed. Sebastian Renai is the only E2 SC SS3000 runner in this particular event. Hopefully more will return for the next one, which is in Spain. I'll have to get the proper name up in a moment because I can't pronounce it without having it in front of me. And I don't have it in front of me for the moment. I will do for the end though, and tell it to you, but we're going to Spain for the only time. Next time out. Be good. The runner is going to be first, and then it's going to be Bashadorf and Andre and their battle. How much of a battle is it going to turn into, though? I think Andre really does need 54 too. Even if Bashadorf doesn't improve next time around, and that's looking likely from the way he's been going at the moment. He has been going well. Paparinopoulos has been going well as well here, let's not forget about him. Just getting ready for the final runs. Things getting into position. And Renau will be allowed to go out to the front and the starting line. He's confirmed as having won this one overall. Unless somebody puts in a monumental performance that would be a good 30 seconds faster than what they've managed before. Chances of that happening very unlikely, but Bernard looks set to take a 28-point lead in the championship. Which is a very handsome one indeed, heading into round 4. Which is where we'll be going next. Looking at some highlights on the screen right now as we're waiting. On the run so far. And runner is now finally going towards the starting line for the very first time. And here he goes. Sebastian Runner on a bit of an exhibition. Looking to maybe go faster than he managed before, or maybe he won't be able to, but he's certainly going to be putting on a show, as he has been all day long so far. As I mentioned, this confirms him as having a 28-point lead in the championship. And we already know he's going to be victorious in this one. So let's go back to E1 plus 2000, because it's going to be very, very interesting here. Tobias Bashadorf. Can he take his second victory of the season in front of Agios Andrei? Can Antonis Paparinopoulos get involved? Quite possibly. He's set some good times so far. 2-minute dead .1 and a 2-minute dead .4 for him so far. Most consistent of those in the front three by a good way. Agios Andrei looking for a much better run than a 2-minute 2.4, which he managed on his second heat. Maybe hoping for a stronger final one. Agios Andrei is also onto the climb now as well. It's going to be between these three for the victory. It looks like, anyway. Latheus Argyro is a little bit too far back. Pascalis Angelopoulos is definitely too far back, and might be resigned to 5th place in the championship unless you can overtake George Malice in this one. Those guys will be fighting that one out. And I'm not quite sure he's going to be finishing in front of these two, but let's see. Tobias Pashadov right now coming up to the most dangerous part of the course, over that crest there, and he controls it nicely, as he has done all day long. That Mitsubishi Evo looks so planted. He's driving the same car as Agios Andrei, but he's just driving it better at the moment. 2-litre turbocharged engine, and he's poetically and smoothly nursing his car through these turns, and then hits it out of the final corner. For Bashadorf, it's a 56.7. It's not his fastest of the day, but it will count. 56.7 and the 56.2 will count. The first run of the day will not. So he needs a 53, a low 53, if he wants to take this. Does Agios Andrei? He goes over the line. It's a 59.2, and I'm afraid that's not going to be good enough. Bashadorf is going to finish ahead of Andrei, and probably in front of this man in the Ford Escort as well. Things have not been going actually that well here on the final run for Paparinopoulos. Here he is in the final corner. He does need a lot of time. Over the line he goes. It's not enough, I'm afraid. The most consistent driver of the day is going to be third. behind those guys. Frederic Tacher as well, not the day he would have wanted, certainly. Now that we sorted out 1, 2, 3 in E1 plus 2000, I'm going to try and look back at some of the others, like Vincent Tukulat, who's making his way to the start right now in the 33. John Spider is already out there. Lost nearly 2 seconds to Tukulat in the one run that has been representative of a time that he can do. Tukulat is out there now. In this Group H special car. Looks like he's going to take his second class victory of the season. Only Rob can really deny him at this point. If he doesn't improve, then Rob needs a mid 2 minute 4. But Tukulat may well go faster yet. So, 3 of the 5 classes settled on the Rampa de Falperra. On the Rampa Falperra, excuse me, not in Portugal. 5.2 kilometres of exceptionally quick, high-octane action, and this is part of it that just makes you wince just a little bit. Through he goes, and into the right-hander. Is it going to be for a famous victory? Is he leading himself towards a heartbreak at the hands of Philip Robb, who's currently leading the championship? Or is Robb going to have some of his own? It would be his third second place of the year so far. Into the left-hander for Tukulat. Doesn't seem to be the smoothest run so far, but you do need to wrestle this Opel Cadet around. 2.5 litres of an engine and fairly heavy. Going to be lumping itself up this final hill for Vincent Tukulat. What's the time going to be? Very impressive again, a 5.7. I'm afraid he's been slowly getting slower, and that is not going to count. But Philip Raab, is he going to be able to do enough in this? There's Chris Bennett, I can see out there, but where is Raab at the moment? I can't see him unless he's already set a time. The possibility is I'm being a bit blind, but I can't see Philip Raab on there at the moment. I don't think he's going to improve. And Delar's not there either, I can see. Javi Rodriguez has completed the event, by the way, to take a victory in E1 2000. Now what has happened to Julien Delarge and Philippe Raab here? Neither of those guys are on the scoreboard anymore. Chris Bennett gets himself up to 5th, by the way. And that will be Julien Delarge to get ready. But where is he? Where is he? That's the question. Can't see Raab out there at the moment either. Nicolas' two closest rivals at the moment. Going to be contesting. As things stand, the average between Delarge and John Spider would be going down to hundredths of a second instead of just tenths. Delarge lost a second in the first heat and then gained it back in the second. This third one obviously not going to count at this point if it's he doesn't indeed even go out there. Go back to Leo Huart here because he's got a chance of doing something in this category. Trying to hold off Marcus Blassel. If Blassel has another slightly below average run, then he could secure himself 5th place, but I doubt it at this point. Blassel looks like he's going to hold on to that one. At the moment. There were a few people to come over the line, including Andreas Valerios in the 106. It'll be his first run of the day. Clearly just wants to have a bit of fun right at the end. Only going to get one run in and a DNF on the day, I'm afraid, but he'll be out there. As will Alex Schubert, who's just made his way out, I can see, in the Ford Escort. I'll take a look at all of these guys as they're coming towards the line. Cosworth 2.2 litre engines, unsurprisingly for the Ford Escort Cosworth. Slightly less horsepower than the slightly newer Ford Focus WRC we have entered onto this year's Hill Climb Championship. Further behind, Gartner, is out there. And Leo Hart not far from crossing over the line for the final time in this event. And he does that right now. 11th place overall, a 9.1. Been getting faster today, has Russell. Gained 8/10 of a second. Sorry, has Leo Hart. Hart gained 8/10 of a second on Blassel in the opening run and then lost 1.3, so it looks like he's going to lose out on 5th place by just half a second at the end of this event. Olive Tan out there, as well as number 47 Porsche, which I don't have on my entry list. It's a difficult name as well, so I'm not going to attempt it it might be so bad it's offensive, but it's a difficult name. There's definitely the Porsche out there at the moment, just come over the line actually. Isa Lagaretta out there as well as Olive Tan, Frank Dupart, David Tachev. Lots of guys out there right now. Harris Gavalas has got to come over the line soon as well. Here is Lagaretta, by the way, in that car. Oh, and that's a big crash. That's a big accident. And over. I'm afraid it's going to be a no score in Heat 3, and let's hope that Lagaretta has got already 2 times on the board, because if not, then he is going to be out. Oh, he's got back on his wheels and going again. Oh my goodness me. He's managed to rock himself back onto his wheels and carry on. Now, if he hadn't, if he'd already got 2 times on the board, you get the feeling he might have escaped back to the pit lane and not bothered with the rest of that run, because it was immediately going to go down the drain. But maybe he does need this time quite badly. Lagaretta, you never know what could be going on. Into the lay-by he goes. Makes his way through. Very, very tricky, intricate section that is. David Tachev not too far from the line, by the way, in the E1 2000 category, that has disappointed just a little bit this time around. Tachev not quite on the pace of where he has been in the past, which meant Javi Rodriguez is going to cruise to a second victory on the season. Push over the line for the final time. And he has put in a good time at the end, I think. 13.9. 9/10 quicker than what he managed in the first run, but DNF in the second and a good way off of Rodriguez. Still second place for Tachev on this occasion. As Legamenta is coming through the final couple of corners. But just coming up towards the start is Askeros Angelopoulos, who needs this time as well because he's got a DNF so far. Legamenta unfortunately goes last of those who set a time in Heat 3, 32.6, and that's not surprising considering what we saw early on in that run. Angelopoulos is now out there and he's the only one on the hill. Marcus Blassel has still got to set a time. Horace Gavalas and Andreas Valles have the same situation. Although unsure as to whether they are actually going to set a time or not. Let's go on board with Angelopoulos, shall we? Here's the view. Making his way up the hill, blowing opening section and the lay-by coming up. Here it is. You can see it's a perfectly good road to the right there, but it would mean speeds going towards this section here would be quite frightening, and it already is frightening as it is. Look at this right now, going over the hill here in a few moments' time, or over a crest, should I say. Not many crests in hill climbs, hence the name, but a few that we do have are very tricky to deal with, and that was a good catch from the Greek driver. Could have easily gone wrong, that. Bit of opposite lock and he's saved it into the ditch and scrape on the wall. He's okay. Good onboard shots from him. He makes his way around the left-hander and towards the finish line. Final man out there then. Horace Gavalas in the Subaru. We'll see if Valerius or Blassel make their way out again, but it's looking doubtful at this stage. I can tell you as well that Angelopoulos has come over the line with a 4.1. 2-minute 4.1, much better from him, but still could be finishing around 4th or 5th on the day. Could well be ahead of Pescher and George Mallis, although it's going to be close and it's going to have to go down to the post-race averages and the totting up that will go up, and we'll update you at the next round. Of course, we'll talk about a little bit about that a little bit later on. 12th of July is our next race, so 2 weeks time, and we'll be there from 9:30 Central European time as normal for the final half an hour of qualifying, and the first heat coming up roughly half an hour after that. Here's the final man out there on the circuit, though, out there on the climb. Horace Gavalas in the Subaru. Impreza slides his way into the final corner of the day, rides his way around the wall. He brings the E1 Plus 2000 car over the line for the final time. It was 11th place in the standings and 8.5, 2-minute 8.5 in that car. That's it then for the runs. Heat 3 is now over. When we return, we'll have some unprovisional results for you from the hill climb and some also unprovisional championship standings, so make sure you stick around for that. We'll just take a quick commercial break and do all that when we come back. We'll be back in a couple of moments' time.
The Braga International 2021 Rampa da Falperra Hill Climb is presented by Viper Gaming by Patriot, Elite Gaming, ESTV, and Motorvision.tv.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Welcome back to the post-race reaction to the third round of the European Hill Climb Championship here on R Factor 2 in 2021, where we have just seen the Rampa Falperra in Portugal provide the action for the third round of our championship here this year. Sebastian Renat ended up winning overall because he's the only E2 SC SS 3000 car entered into today's race. He's going to take a 28-point championship lead over Ludovic Farut after this race, and we'll see in future events whether hopefully there's more cars in that category and whether they can challenge Sebastian Renat and his championship lead. Moving on to some slightly closer categories, you'll be pleased to know. E1 plus 2000 was a good fight in the end between Tobias Bashadorf and Agius Andre. In the end, it was Bashadorf who gained 1.2 seconds in his first run, and he got another 1.5 in his second. Sorry, not 1.2, 3.2 in his first, and 2.5 in his second. I'm not reading my numbers right, but you can decipher from that it was quite a lot. Over 5 seconds of a victory for Bashadorf, ahead of Andre, who comes in second. The number 111 of Antonius Paparinopoulos, who's going to come in third. And then behind that, I think Philotheo Arguru will be fourth and overtaking George Mallis in the championship to take third place in the Audi. But to more important matters up the front of that championship, Tobias Bashadorf is going to not only take that tied championship lead, which they had here today, or he had here today, into just him out there in the front. 7 points is going to be the margin in front of Agius Andre, who's going to try and bounce back in 2 weeks' time. In Group H Special, it was Vincent Tukula, very, very consistent throughout his free runs today. Just 0.2 of a second separating his fastest to slowest. And when you consider the course that we've had here today, that's very, very impressive indeed. He beats out Philippe Raab by 0.9 of a second overall. And Julien Delage and John Spider, who are going to be very, very close behind that. Because as I mentioned just before the ad break, Julien Delage gained 1 second on Spider in his first run, but then lost a second in his second heat. So we're going to have to do the calculations in the intervening 2 weeks, I'm afraid, and tell you what happened in a couple of weeks' time, because that's going to go down hundredths of a second, maybe thousandths of a second, to decide who comes third. Behind that, definitely in fifth, it's going to be Marcus Blassel, I'm pretty sure anyway, ahead of Leo Huart. It was just a few tenths behind him. In the championship, Vincent Tukula is going to take a second victory out of the 2 races he's done so far this season, so he can add the Rushberg and the Rampa Falperra to his list of achievements and move a little bit closer in this championship. Philippe Raab takes his second place of the season. That's 3 out of 3 second places. He'll be looking to go one better in a couple of weeks' time. 4 points is the championship margin. Raab leading Tukula. And depending on how it goes behind, Delage could be tied with Tukula in the championship, or indeed he could be 3 points behind, with John Spider either 5 or 8 points behind. Either way, the top guys in the championship are going to be separated by 14 points. The top 4 by 14 points, no matter what happens. It's going to be very, very exciting in Group H. See if anybody can challenge Tukula in the future. Finally, E1 2000 disappointed just a little bit today with Javi Rodriguez running away with it in front of David Tachev. 8.1 seconds, sorry, more than 8.1 seconds in the first run, 9.1 seconds in that first heat, and then a whopping 8 in the next. It was domination from the Spaniard today, and he extends his championship lead from 3 points up to, what's that going to be? Difficult maths, should have worked this out before. He's going to be on 68 points anyway, and David Tachev is going to be on 49. That's a 19-point gap. Bartolini is going to be 28 points behind. Hopefully he returns for the next race in 2 weeks' time, so that he can begin to eat into that one, and we get a good championship fight in E1 2000 as well. There are your race results and your championship standings. Don't forget to tune in next time to find out the proper race results and indeed the proper championship standings as well when we go racing again. Next time out on the 12th of July, we're racing in Spain. The Subida Internacional Alfito is going to be our venue. And I'm not entirely sure where in Spain that could be, but it could be anywhere, because mainly the hills in Spain are on the everywhere, so who knows where that's going to be. That's going to be round 4 of our 12 race championship, culminating right at the very end of November. Make sure you tune in for that one. That's going to be the next broadcast here for us at GTR 24/8. So thank you very much for your company here tonight. It's been a very good evening of hill climb racing here once again. Make sure you join us in a couple of weeks. Monday, 9:30 CET as always. But until then, it's goodbye for now.
The Braga International 2021 Rampa da Falperra Hill Climb is presented by Viper Gaming by Patriot, Elite Gaming, ESTV, and Motorvision.tv.
Split. A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Weird, but if it was just the
Braga International 2021 Rampa da Falperra Hill Climb is presented by Viper Gaming by Patriot, Elite Gaming, ESTV, and Motorvision.tv.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.